Well, that was Justin Rolat. Let's speak now to Rachel Kyte, who's Dean of the Fletcher School at Tufts University. She's also a climate action advisor to the UN Secretary General. She joins us from Lexington, Massachusetts. Leading by example, pretty significant, no?
No, very significant. If the G7 can do this, then it's all the pressure now goes to other countries. What they've committed to is to stop financing coal overseas. Now that puts pressure on China, who remain as the major financier of coal overseas. And then by committing to really getting rid of coal from their own energy systems and making their energy systems decarbonised in the 2030s, it puts pressure on countries like Australia, which was still dependent for the domestic GDP on coal.
I suppose cynics would say, though, that maybe pressure isn't really enough, but if you're not going to get unanimity, which you never are, is that the only way?
No, I think this is actually a very good day for British diplomacy, for British climate diplomacy. There's been a lot of pressure on them to use both the G7 and the hosting of the climate talks this year for maximum effect. So this was a good day, and it now leads the way into the finance ministers and the heads of state who will meet in Cornwall in June, because there, rather than saying what we won't do and not financing bad things, now the G7 has to step up and provide real finance and technical assistance to countries so that they can do the good things. And many developing countries are saying that the G7, really having caused this problem in the first place, has to put a substantial aid package on the table to help countries grow green.
But those figures are going to be huge, aren't they, after a global pandemic?
Well, large, but much cheaper than inaction. The cost of climate impacts is climbing every day, as we see domestically and we also see around the world. And the cost of renewable energy is plummeting, as well as storage options. And so this is really a smart investment for many firms in the UK and in the G7 countries. The investment of this technology across the world is really the big story for the next decade.
Where are we with China? Because, of course, President Xi, I can't remember how many years ago it was, had that great leap into green. But how far behind are they in terms of all the coal-fired energy stations they are still churning out?
So all eyes are on China's 14th five-year plan now, and then the next one, in terms of how quickly they will phase out their own coal domestically. And this is being argued over at the moment. We expect to see some firming up of their commitment before the climate talks. And then there's China's financing of energy infrastructure overseas. The Belt and Road Initiative, which is their flagship program, has largely been funding in the past coal-fired power and other fossil fuel infrastructure. That's increasingly becoming green. And now we need China to come in and say that it too will no longer finance coal-fired power overseas, as it will not be the best option for developing countries.
OK, fascinating. Rachel Kyte, good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme.